Hi guys, David O'Sullivan here, and in this video I'm very excited to bring to you a special collaboration video with a fellow movie reviewer here on YouTube. It is of course Ryan O'Toole. We did our first collaboration review on the original 2002 Spider-Man, that's over on Ryan O'Toole's channel, but in this video we're going to be giving you a review of Spider-Man 2. So before I get into this, Ryan, why don't you introduce yourself to everyone?
What's going on, guys? Ryan O'Toole here on David O'Sullivan's channel, doing Spider-Man 2. David, it was an absolute blast talking about Spider-Man 1 last month on my channel, and I'm even more excited to talk Spider-Man 2 with you on your channel, and I have a lot of things to discuss on Spider-Man 2 because I've rewatched this movie twice to prepare for this review, and let's get straight into this.
Thanks again, Ryan, for joining me in this collaboration review. Let's just not waste any more time and get straight into it with our review of Spider-Man 2. Now, I absolutely love Spider-Man 2. It's no surprise to probably a lot of you out there. I just recently done my top 10 best comic book movies, and I think Spider-Man 2 came in at like number 4 or something. I absolutely love Spider-Man 2. I think it's absolutely fantastic. Not just the best Spider-Man film we've ever had, but I think one of the best comic book movies we've ever had also, so not much of a surprise here that I absolutely love this film. And it's interesting because I do really like the first one, but I don't flat out love the first one. It's not one of my favourite superhero movies, but with the second one, I think the second one was so much better. Not that I don't think the first one was good, I did like the first one, but for me the second one is so much better. It's one of the best comic book movie sequels we've ever had in terms of building on what was successfully set up and established in that first film and delivering a far superior sequel. It's right up there with like X-Men 2, The Dark Knight, The Winter Soldier. In terms of the first one was good, but the second one just took it to a whole nother level. Obviously, Spider-Man 2 is the sequel to the original 2002 Spider-Man film directed by Sam Raimi, and Sam Raimi again comes back to direct this film, and the film basically follows Peter Parker as he struggles to balance his life as a college student with being Spider-Man at the same time. So he's trying to balance his life as Peter Parker with balancing his life as Spider-Man and saving the city. So it really shows us the duality of the character in that sense. And of course the villain in this film is Dr. Octopus, played by Alfred Molina, who after these crazy kind of technologically advanced tentacles take over his mind and his body, he becomes the supervillain that Spider-Man needs to take down before he hurts anyone else and destroys the city.
It's hard to believe that Spider-Man 2 is 13 years old this year. I was 9 years old when I saw this movie in theaters, and I just remember I absolutely love this movie ever since I was 9 years old. It's by far the best Spider-Man movie, and it's one of the best superhero movies ever made.
Completely agree with you, man. I absolutely love this film too. What I like most about this film is that it really, more so than any other Spider-Man film, really shows us the duality of the character. It really shows us the kind of conflicting dual lives of the character of Peter Parker Spider-Man, more so than any other Spider-Man film has ever done before, because that's what's such a big part of the character of Spider-Man, that he's trying to live this double life. He's trying to live these two lives at the same time. His life as Peter Parker, but also his life as Spider-Man. And the way in which this film shows us that is really great, I think. How he's really struggling to kind of live both lives, trying to, live his life as Peter Parker and also save the city countless times as Spider-Man at the same time. And I think the film does a really great job at showing that to us and really kind of showing how Peter is struggling to kind of balance those two lives together. I think they do a really good job at showing that, and again, Tobey Maguire is really great in the role.
The performances are even better in Spider-Man 2. Tobey Maguire still proves that he is the best Peter Parker as of right now. Until I see Tom Holland in Spider-Man Homecoming, Tobey Maguire is the perfect Peter Parker, and in this movie, he's going through so much more. He's now in college, he's moved out of Aunt May's house, he still has a love for Mary Jane, but she's dating some other guy, and I just feel so bad for Peter, and you do care about him and what he's going through, and you just want to see him succeed and go through all those loops he's going through in this movie. Kirsten Dunst continues to be great as Mary Jane Watson, despite her being a damsel in distress. I know. She's still great as that character. And is it just me? Does Kirsten Dunst continue to get hotter and hotter in every movie? She's struggling if she wants to marry J. Jonah Jameson's son, and she still has a love for Peter, but Peter can't admit to her that he's Spider-Man and has to save the city. And I just love what Mary Jane has to go through in this movie. Constant struggles with the characters we love in this movie, and it's great. I also love what Harry is going through in this movie. James Franco, brilliant. He's still struggling with his father's death. He thinks that Spider-Man killed his father when he didn't. His father tried to kill Spider-Man. And I just love Harry in this movie more because he's older now. He's now running Oscorp. And he hates Peter throughout the majority of the movie because he takes Spider-Man's pictures. Each character, each hero is going through something that they're struggling with. And Harry has the most on his plate, and I loved it. And of course, J.K. Simmons as J. Jonah Jameson is even more funnier in this movie, and he gives the best laugh ever in movie history.
You serious?
And another thing I really like about this film is that, again, it builds on what was set up in that first film and just kind of fleshes out and develops certain kind of character arcs and storylines and how that carries over into the second film. For example, the first film ended with a kind of tension between Peter and Harry, and that Harry thinks that Spider-Man killed his father when he doesn't actually realise that his father was the Green Goblin and that he essentially kind of killed himself when trying to kill Peter. And it's really great how that carries over into this film. It's a really big part of this film where Harry's mad at Spider-Man because he thinks Spider-Man killed his dad, and it's really difficult for Peter because obviously Peter is Spider-Man, but Harry doesn't know Peter's Spider-Man. He doesn't know the truth of what actually happened. So the kind of the drama and the kind of conflict and tension of all that I think is dealt with and explored really well, and obviously how it comes to a head at the end of the film when Harry finally has Spider-Man there to unmask, and after all this time he finally comes to the realisation that Spider-Man is Peter Parker. It's really great use of kind of conflict and drama and tension because it's really great when you think about it, because Harry's really dead set on killing Spider-Man. What's going to stop him from killing Spider-Man? Oh yeah, Peter's his best friend. He really cares deeply for Peter. And of course, he has no idea that Peter and Spider-Man are one of the same person. So when it's eventually revealed Spider-Man is Peter, it's like this great kind of crisis of conscience here because he's dead set on killing Spider-Man, and then suddenly he realises Spider-Man's Peter. So he's like, he doesn't know what to think. And I really like how that is explored and dealt with in this film. It's done really well. Again, James Franco is really great in that role. I think he's even better here.
The story alone for this movie is so great, so much better than the first movie. I love the plot and where the setting takes place in, that each character has a struggle and the whole entire situation is very intense for each person. This story focuses on 60% Peter Parker and 40% Spider-Man. It focuses on our characters more than the superhero action sequences. And that's so great. This doesn't even feel like a superhero movie. It feels more like a drama. And I always love that about movies today. One of my biggest flaws with Spider-Man 1 was the visual effects in that movie didn't look that amazing. It looked 2002 bleh. In this movie, they're even better. The action looks better. The visuals, the fight scenes look more realistic. It didn't feel choppily edited. And it's just so fantastic. Such an improvement over the first movie.
And before we go any further, we've got to talk about Alfred Molina as Dr. Octopus. Alfred Molina in that role was absolutely fantastic. I still contend to this day that it's one of the best kind of depictions of a comic book villain we've ever seen on the big screen. Alfred Molina in that role was so great. A British actor, but playing this super villain, he did an incredible job at really becoming that character to the point where it's like he was that character. You can't imagine anyone else playing that role but Alfred Molina. He did such a fantastic job because it's almost like the whole Magneto thing in the X-Men films, is that he's a truly dastardly, evil, sadistic villain doing really horrible, cruel things, but at the same time there's an element of sympathy there, and that you can almost care for him in that you can understand where he's coming from. You don't condone his actions, you don't kind of agree with what he's doing, but you can sympathise with him in the sense that you can understand where he's coming from, you understand why he's feeling the way he is. And obviously, of course, the fact that the tentacles have taken over him, so he can't really control his own body. They've kind of taken control over his own body. And the end of the film where they subvert your expectations. It's not about the hero taking down the villain, it's about the villain essentially doing the hero thing. Essentially, it's the villain who saves the day. It's the villain who saves the city. And I really like that, how they twist it. How the character has that kind of redemption arc to his storyline, where it ends with him taking down his machine and sacrificing himself to save the city, to make up for his past sins, make up for his past mistakes. It's such a powerful, emotional, effective moment that really works. It was like he doesn't want to die a monster. He finally takes control over these tentacles. You will listen to me now. You will listen to me now. Oh my god, it's so great because he's like this really kind of genius scientist with this really high IQ and intellect, and the whole film these tentacles have taken control over him and turned him into this kind of crazy, diabolical supervillain. And that moment at the end of the film, he's like, no, shut up, you will listen to me now, you'll do what I want you to do. I'm going to do the right thing, I'm going to redeem myself here, and I'm going to die a hero, I'm not going to die a monster. Oh my god, it's so good, I love it. So, yeah, Ryan, what do you think about this? What do you think about Alfred Molina as Dr. Octopus?
So great. Alfred Molina was so fantastic in this movie. Such a great bad guy Doc Ock is, and Otto Octavius. He's plays such a great character, and Alfred Molina hasn't been in a lot of movies. This is his only big movie. And Alfred Molina as Otto Octavius, you can see that he really is a good guy, but he's not really a bad guy. The tentacles that he has on him and the serum he takes causes him to be evil. Dr. Octopus. And I just love what they did with this character, and Alfred Molina stole every scene he was in.
And of course, I can't do this review without talking about the action sequences. What makes this film one of the best comic book movies in my opinion is not just, you know, how the characters are handled and the dramatic elements of the film and the story, but the action. I mean, oh my god, that train sequence. That train sequence is not only one of the best action sequences in the film, it's one of the best action sequences of any comic movie ever made. It's such an incredibly well filmed and well choreographed sequence, and it's just riveting to watch unfold. And it's so well done how they start off Spider-Man and Dr. Octopus fighting on that building, which is really great, and then they fall onto the train, have the fight on the train, around the train, and then we get that incredible moment where he has to try and stop the train. It's such a great action sequence because, like I said, it's in like 3 bits. The building, falling onto the top of the train, and then stopping the train, and it is so great, so awesome to watch unfold. And as I said, when he has to stop the train, he can make fun of Tobey Maguire's poop face. I mean, my friend often did when we watched it. It's a little over the top, but it's such an incredible sequence. Obviously, the fight with Dr. Octopus, seeing Spider-Man and Dr. Octopus going toe-to-toe on that train, around the train, and then when he has to try and stop the train. So yeah, Ryan, what do you think about this train sequence and just the action scenes in general in Spider-Man 2?
They are so great, so much better than Spider-Man 1. We of course got to start with the train scene, one of my top 10 favorite action scenes of all time. This train scene is so awesome. I love how it starts. They're at the top of the skyscraper, Spider-Man and Doc Ock. They're fighting, and then they fall straight onto the train. They're fighting on the side of the train. Another train passes by, and Spider-Man ducks it. It's so well done, and I love how Doc Ock kicks Spider-Man off the train, and then he gets back on it. It's so fantastic what this train scene was and how iconic it is. This scene right here is what every single action movie director should look at and making it more realistic. Spider-Man fights Doc Ock as he's stealing money out of the bank. I love how he fights Doc Ock as he takes Aunt May. It's so well choreographed and so well shot. It's so great.
And one last thing, I've got to talk about this because this is a scene where when I was younger I didn't really get what they were going for, and I didn't really kind of like the scene. Me and my friend used to make fun of it. But the last time I rewatched this film, I absolutely love this scene. And it's now become one of my favourite scenes in the film. The raindrops keep falling on my head scene. It's just so great. He's had the burden of Spider-Man lifted from him, and now we can just live his life as Peter Parker without the burden of kind of saving the city. And he's just like, walking around happy as Larry. Now he's really excelling at his work at university, and I just love that scene. And also another thing that I picked up on that I never realised before when I was younger is that it's a throwback to the scene in Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, in which they also have a similar scene with the same song. And I really like that scene now. I just love the fact that Raimi can put things like that in there, because there's some dark things in this film. There's almost horror touches there with Dr. Octopus. Kind of Raimi's kind of horror influence again there seeping in. That scene where the tentacles take over and it's almost like something from a horror film. But I love the fact that Raimi can balance kind of darker, kind of almost horror-like things like that with just fun, light-hearted moments like the raindrops keep falling on my head scene. I just love it, because you wouldn't get anything like that in any other comic book movie. Like, I just love what Raimi brought to these two original films. We'll talk about Spider-Man 3 a little later. But yeah, I just love that scene. And yeah, what else pops out to you, Ryan, as some of your favourite things? What are some of your favourite scenes or favourite moments in this film?
Some other scenes in Spider-Man 2 that aren't really that important is what makes this movie so special. One of my favourite scenes in this movie is by far the hospital scene, when Doc Ock is in there and he murders all those doctors. Oh my god, it was so brilliant. One of the most well-directed scenes in a comic book movie. And it feels very similar to Evil Dead. It's just so great. And Sam Raimi, it's his style. And I just love this entire scene. I also love the opening pizza scene. It's so great. I love the pizza guy. He goes, "Parker, Joe's 29-minute delivery is a promise, man. I know to you, a promise doesn't mean nothing. But to me, it's very serious." And I love how he has to deliver the pizza in under 29 minutes. And then we get the most random Dave Chappelle cameo ever. Whoa, he stole that guy's pizza! And I also love the connections that Peter has with Aunt May in this movie. There's one fantastic scene after Peter reveals to Aunt May that he felt partially responsible for Uncle Ben's death, in that whole dream sequence of Peter and Uncle Ben in the car, the "with great power comes great responsibility" speech. And he's like, "Peter, take my hand, be Spider-Man." He's like, "No, I'm Spider-Man no more." That scene hits me so hard. It's so well directed. Such a beautiful scene. And also the scene where Aunt May talks to Peter, and then she tells him that we need Spider-Man. The city of New York needs to feel safe. And in that scene right there, you're thinking to yourself, does she know he's Spider-Man? It's never explained. I don't think she never knew. But if she did not know that he's Spider-Man, it's like, really?
As far as negatives are concerned, there's not really anything I don't like about this film. I mean, there's a couple of kind of over-the-top kind of reactions on Tobey Maguire's part, but it works. It doesn't like take you out of the film or anything. Literally, I can't think of anything. I don't think there's anything I dislike about this film. I'm not saying it's perfect. I'm not saying it's flawless or anything. But honestly, I don't have one single criticism with this film. Do you have anything, Ryan? Is there anything that stands out to you as something that kind of bugs you, or something that you don't necessarily like about this film?
To be honest with you, David, I really have no negatives with this movie. I loved it so much, except for some small nitpick that I've always had with this movie, is that there's some scenes in this movie where I'm thinking to myself, how do they not know that Peter's Spider-Man? The first scene where Harry and Peter are taking part in Otto Octavius becoming Doc Ock, there's a scene where Peter is standing right next to Harry, and then 30 seconds later he comes out as Spider-Man. Harry never questions, "Pete, are you Spider-Man?" It's like, really? Peter runs off and turns into Spider-Man in the whole bank robbery scene. How come does Aunt May never question Peter, like, "Why did you leave me?" She has to know he's Spider-Man. Come on. And those are my small nitpicks with this movie. Overall, no negatives with Spider-Man 2.
And so there we have it. That wraps up our review of Spider-Man 2. As far as my final thoughts on this film goes, I think it's really great. Obviously, I think it's one of the best comic book movies we've ever had. Hands down the best Spider-Man film. I don't know what's going to happen with Spider-Man Homecoming in July. That could change things, but as of right now, Spider-Man 2 is my favourite Spider-Man movie we've ever had. I think it does a fantastic job at showing the duality of the character, the conflicting double lives of both Peter Parker and Spider-Man, and how he's struggling to balance those two lives together with one another. I think the characters are all handled really well, extremely well realised and well portrayed by the actors. Alfred Molina as Dr. Octopus is such a standout. He really steals the show. Incredible action sequences, really great character stuff, really great dramatic storyline there, how it involves all the characters. Really great action. Raimi really builds on what he successfully set up, established in that first film, and does an even better job here. So yeah, there we go. Spider-Man 2, it has to get 5 stars. What about you, Ryan? What are your final thoughts on this film, and what rating would you give it?
In the end, it's as simple as this. Spider-Man 2 is easily one of the best comic book movies ever made. Everything about this movie was a huge improvement over the first movie. Better characters, better acting, better action, better visuals, better story, and just overall a better movie. And also a better score. I keep forgetting. Danny Elfman's score is so fantastic. And after rewatching this movie twice, I think I'm going to go purchase the Spider-Man 2 video game again. Yeah. On my rating scale, I'm going to give Spider-Man 2 absolutely a 5 out of 5 stars. And also, I'm going to go hop on a train and just go...
And there we have it. That wraps up our review of Spider-Man 2. Thank you, Ryan, for joining me in this collaboration. It was a lot of fun talking about Spider-Man 2 with you. I can't wait to talk about Spider-Man 3 next month. That's going to be a very different kind of video. Yeah, I think it's still going to be just as fun to talk about, because Spider-Man 3, you know, it's not a great film, but it is kind of fun to talk about. It's one of those kind of it's so bad it's good kind of films. So yeah, look forward to that. Spider-Man 3 review will be on Ryan's channel. So yeah, thanks again, Ryan, for joining me in this video.
Well, David, it's been an absolute blast talking about Spider-Man 2 with you on your channel, and I can't wait to do it again here with the amazing Spider-Man. But the next one is Spider-Man 3. Yeah, I got a lot to say about that shit. I cannot wait to talk about Spider-Man 3 with you, David, next month on my channel. And I'm done here, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!
And there we have it, guys. That wraps up our review. If you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already, if you want to see more. But for now, I've been David O'Sullivan. I'll see you next time.